they print money, but they don't redo time. You have to be open and willing with the growth mindset to be vulnerable and learn and grow. If you limit yourself, you limit yourself.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to a special beginning of the school year edition on the Path Forward podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and for the start of school, I've got a very special guest because you want the energy, you want the excitement, you want the enthusiasm. So who better than Mr. Chip Baker to join me on the show? Chip, welcome.
2 words, let's go.
You ready?
Let's go. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I got to ask, before we jump into all of the details, what gets you most excited about this time of year?
I think just the newness of starting new.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing when everybody has a fresh start. I think people can be antsy as well with all of the new systems in place, times, getting adjusted. It could be nuts, but I think just the newness of everything and having a fresh start really makes me excited about this time of year.
Now, you're no stranger to excitement and enthusiasm.
Yes, sir.
You're a former coach.
Yep.
Well, instead of letting me laying it all out, tell us a little bit about yourself, the genesis of Chip Baker and where you are now.
So really myself, I'm just an ordinary guy working real hard to achieve some extraordinary things. And so I've been blessed and fortunate. I'm a 4th generation educator. I come from a family of church folks and educators, and truly grateful for that upbringing, that background. I've just strived to do things to make my family proud throughout my year. Throughout my years, I taught and coached 24 years in education, and so just finished my 24th year, and it's been amazing. Done everything. My teaching field is special ed, so I've done pretty much everything under the special ed umbrella, and it's really been a neat journey.
So as an instructor, as a teacher, as someone that has a heart for kids, what do you take from your coaching background, your special ed background, your service background, and bring it into some of the new ventures? What do you use from that?
I think for me, it's all about service.
Okay.
It's all about love, giving service to others, highlighting others. I have a passion for uplifting and encouraging others. And so, in my life, I've always strived to do that, regardless of what I'm involved in.
Sure.
I think those are the core principles or core essence of who I am.
No, so I've seen a lot of your videos. I've seen your podcast, Success Chronicles. We have some similar acquaintances, colleagues in the coaching circles. But specifically, how are you serving schools now that's different from your past?
So in the past, I was there, on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
Now as far as serving schools, I've made the jump. So I'm out of the school day-to-day basis as a teacher, coach.
You're out, but you're not out.
But I'm not out.
Pull you back in.
That won't ever stop. Like this. I'm like those old school teachers that they sub forever, right?
Uh-huh.
But my subbing, if you will, is I'm blessed to work with Hartwell University, and I'm an ambassador for them. And so now just striving to provide opportunities for paras, non-certified staff, and aides, to get high quality education degrees.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big part. And this is as well as anybody, the need for quality teachers, not just in Texas, but across the country.
Yes, sir.
It's a challenge in this era for educators for a variety of reasons, right? And I would say the last 5 years has been some of the most challenging if you look back on the history of education. But kind of bringing it back to how you inspire and how you kind of lift up, particularly at this time of year. Talk about some of the districts you've been serving and what you've been doing with them. Because I got to know. Come on, you got to
spill the beans.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, early, those last couple weeks of July, first week of August, it's nuts because everybody's doing the leadership development, the training, the professional developments, the convocations, all of those things. And so I've been doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking at convocations, doing leadership groups for district athletes. All of those things. Some small group leadership development, mentoring
Mm-hmm.
types of things. And so, I consider myself to be in the give back phase of my life.
Okay.
And so, now I'm all about building relationships and striving to provide opportunities.
So I had to imagine we almost started talking about this off camera.
Yeah, we had to hold on.
This is a tough time for you then.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Sure.
Oh, he gonna make me go
Yeah.
deep. He gonna make me
come
go
on.
deep.
Might as well.
Okay. No, we talked off air. This is my first year to be out of the classroom, if you will. And so, as an educator, there's times of the year where the ramp up in the summer. You're getting that last little family time. Valuing that time, getting into the routine of like meetings, practices,
Right.
all of those things. And so, but now, actually today was our first day of school in our district, and so it's definitely different.
Yes.
It's definitely different when you've done something for so long, like that's what you do and that's who you are. And so just not being in that similar routine, but it's in me, man. I can't stay away. I'm gonna find some way to serve and be a part of what's going on for sure.
It's funny that we're talking about this because I went through the same type of conflict, like inner conflict, right? Where
Yes.
this is all you've known and
Yes, sir.
what you love
Yes.
and what you value, and obviously, folks that are educators are not doing it because they're about to be $1 billion.
Correct.
That's not going to happen, right? You're doing it because you have a heart for kids and you really want just a better opportunity for all of our kids, our state, our teachers.
No doubt.
And then now you're having to figure out, how do I take that passion that's driven me for so long and put it towards something else, but still give me the fulfillment of serving, helping others, and doing those things. So how did you decide what to do? What was going to fill a little bit of that void? How'd you know?
I think, just hearing you talk about that, I think the words that come up for me is quality relationships. Just hearing you explain all of that to get to asking me the question, it made me think about, over my years, I've been blessed to build and establish some quality relationships, right? And regardless of what I'm doing, whether it be actually teaching in the building, actually being outside giving service, I've developed those quality relationships. And so when you have those relationships, regardless of what's going on in other people's life, you're just there to serve them. And so for me, to answer your question, everything I do is about service and seeing how I can be add value to any situation. And so, based off of the things that I've been blessed to do, achieve, be around in my life and experience, I've learned some valuable lessons.
Sure.
And so I think that what I have to do, like, I can't keep that to myself. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Right. And so the things that I've learned, like, I got to share that with some people. Like, I got to give back and help others because it's bigger than me. It's not about me.
So let's talk. It's this along the same lines, but we're going to transition to the impact of influence. And you've got some books.
Yes, sir.
That, well, I don't want to tell it. You tell it. What's the genesis of the books, and how do you select the folks that are a part of that?
So when we're looking at the impact of influence, well, let me go back a little bit. First off, I'm from a small hometown. I was raised by a single parent mom, right? And so first off, for me to have a book, that blows me away. Like a book, like a real book, Doc.
So
Like-
when you were thinking through it and you brought it up to the family, what was the family's reaction?
I'll do it.
Do it?
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. I mean, like I've been blessed to, man. My family from when I was a kid until now, has always been supportive of the thing and have made sacrifices to allow me to
Absolutely.
be able to do the things that I've been blessed to do, and I don't take that lightly.
Absolutely.
And in turn, I strive to give them my all, and let them understand that all of that books and YouTube and interviewing and like that's good and all, but that's my number one priority.
Sure.
And so I work really hard to make sure that they know that too, and I appreciate that. But going into the book piece, first off, I was just grateful to do it. And so, and I don't know if you know this, like I have like I've been a part of or written 15 books.
I thought you said 10, 12. I didn't know you were okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know
So
that because
yeah,
I've only read 2 of them.
yeah.
I got some catching up to. But we just met, so you can't hold that
Right.
against me.
No. I'm just grateful. Like I said, I'm just grateful to have a book. I don't know about people reading. Man, people really read like
Oh
my
man,
book. You know,
be shocked, man.
Yeah,
You'd be
but
shocked. But go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
but the impact of influence is, I don't care who you are, right? We all have been influenced by something or someone in our lives,
No doubt.
right? And it's influenced us in such a manner that it's caused us to be who we are. And so that's what the impact of influence is about. It's powerful influencers that are discussing that person or situation in their life. They discuss the things that they learned from them, and they also talk about how they're using what they learned to make our world a better place. And that's the impact of influence.
And how do you select or choose the people that are going to be a part of that sharing, that they're going to share their story?
Yeah, I mean, it's just if you want to be a part of what I got going on, man, come on in. No, I just it's really not a huge like a selective.
Right.
Like for me, like I said, I think it goes back to the relationship piece.
Okay.
Along the lines of the work that I've done, along the lines of the YouTube and podcast, I've been blessed to come across some amazing people.
What is your when you're listening to somebody else's story? What's your process for not only listening? Because a lot of times when we're talking, we're always trying to solve a problem, right? Like you're trying to solve it before you actually hear someone out. So do you have a process that you go through for really taking in someone's story and what that means and the things that you can apply to either things you're doing or other folks that you've come across? Do you have like something that you try to do to really engage and get all of the story from someone?
Yeah, I think for me, I just strive to be intentional. Like they print money, and they can remake money, but they don't redo time.
Right.
And so if someone is gracious enough to give me their time, I don't take that lightly. And so for me, if you're giving me your time, I'm intentional about paying attention, right? And so when I do that, I think that allows me the opportunity to maximize the experience and be in the moment. Like I'm big on being in the moment, right?
Yep.
Like if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna be somewhere, like I'm gonna be there early and I'm gonna be on point, and we're gonna have a good time.
Sure.
Because we're gonna be intentional about what we're doing. And so I just strive to live in that manner in everything I do.
I love that. So as you're talking to a variety of people hearing stories, what's a common thread that you hear? Is it adversity? Is it coming through failure? Is it staying positive? What's one nugget that you've kind of teased out that seems to be a commonplace for people going through something and coming out successful?
I think the common thing that I've seen is it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter like what money you have, 2-parent, single parent, like none of those circumstances, if you will, matter. I think everybody has problems. Everybody has adversity. Everybody has something that they're gonna have to learn and grow through. Catch that?
Yep.
Everybody has something that they're going to have to learn and grow through in their life. And so the beauty of that is, we have to attack those challenges, those hard times,
Sure.
So that we learn the lessons. And like we talked about, being in the moment so that we maximize our potential, because on the other side of those tough, adverse challenges is where our maximum growth happens.
From an education perspective, I want your opinion on something. I feel like we're in a spot with education, as much as we're doing well. I think we're shying away from allowing failure with our students, right? And whether it be in the classroom, on the basketball court, on the football field, But in general, there's this sense that failure is not a part of the process. That everybody should have a great experience, great grades, everybody should have every opportunity that across the board. And I worry about that a little bit because I think failure is a natural part of life, and it's going to hit some harder than others.
Yes.
How do we weave in? And when I say educators, I'm not necessarily saying the teachers. I'm saying the collective community about not letting our kids fail. Do you believe we got to weave that in when we have to be more understanding and more aware that if nobody's failing, and then we send them off to either college or the workforce or to a family,
Right.
It's going to hit them hard.
Right.
How do we do a better job, or do we even need to do a better job of that?
That's a tough one.
Uh-huh.
But I look at it as not just education. I just look at it in general, right? I think in life, everybody's gonna have failures, and I think if you can fail early, when you have support,
Sure.
that can teach you, okay, you need to go left instead of going right, what you did, so that you learn. So then when you get on your path, you're more efficient and effective. But I think you have to teach awareness. Is the thing. Like when I hear you ask the question, I think about the awareness piece. For example, like my son, like, he's a junior in high school, and so there's some things like just like you talk about. He's failing, at some things.
Yeah.
But I make a point to ask him, okay, what did you learn from that? What can you do to be better? Like you're gonna face that challenge again, right? So when you face that challenge again, are you gonna be better? Or you gonna have the same thing happen?
Right.
And so I think when you can teach and preach awareness, that allows them to have a heightened sense of awareness to say, oh, here he comes. Last time I did that, this is what happened, and that was bad. So this time I need to do this. So I think that's kind of what I feel on that. I think we can, nobody's perfect. We're all doing the best we can with what we have, but it's definitely important to learn from our failures.
You think mentors serve in a role that would help that and support that? And
Without
is
a
that,
doubt.
I feel that as much as we know about that, right? Like we know that kids need not only their parents, but also someone outside.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but at some age, they stop listening to mom and dad. I'm not going to say any names that live in my household, but it's like if I say it, they could care less. Somebody else comes along and points it out. It's like, I've never heard this before. This is the greatest thing ever. Man, I've been telling you that for.
That's the same thing.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just told you yesterday.
How important is that mentoring perspective? That mentoring, like tug on the shirt, just say, hey, let me take you over here a minute before we get.
Oh man, I love that you asked me that because that's one thing I'm really passionate about. Growing up the way I grew up, where I grew up, some of the experiences that I had, I think you cannot get enough positive people in your life.
Yep, 100%.
I.e. mentors. And I'm gonna just use my son as an example. So, like my son, in our house, like he's comes from a family of educators, faith-based. I mean, he's got great morals, like core common principles instilled in him. Like you're gonna work hard, you're gonna do things the right way. No, you're gonna take care of business.
Right.
Like all of those things that are instilled in him, like you're gonna do that. But I don't think I can get enough great people around him.
Sure.
And so like he's around amazing people. Like the system, the school where he goes, where he's been amazing teachers. Couple of his coaches that he have now, I coached them in high school. Great guys.
Right.
FCA, like everything is pretty dang amazing with what he have. But I'm gonna just tell you, like, I still would like him to be around more great people.
Sure.
And so I think you can't get enough positivity. You can't get enough mentorship. You can't get enough great people to be around that you can live and learn from. And I think that when you can be mature enough to understand, man, I don't know it all. Like,
Never.
yeah, ever. Like, right? Like to the day. Like, I don't, man, we came in here. I'm asking the guys behind the scenes, man, what kind of camera is that? Like, what angles? Like, how do you do that? And I've been doing, like, I could say, yeah, I've been doing podcasting for 8 years. I could come in here and sit down and like, but no, hey, what kind of mic is
Yeah.
this? Like, I'm striving to learn and continue to grow, because if I don't do that, if I don't put myself around great people, then like, man, I'm gonna go old line. Once you stop your feet, you beat. And so like that's unacceptable for me.
Okay, from a success standpoint, right? The Success Chronicles.
Yes, sir.
I feel like one of the lessons that I learned that has served me well was when you're moving up or you're trying to achieve another level, access to the information, access to how decisions are made and what variables are a part of the decision making. And even now in a new role and a new career path, I'm always trying to figure out, well, why did we do it that way? Or what was the rationale? What are some of the things you've learned or the big aha moment you've learned through the journey so far?
Oh man, get ready. This is good right
Okay.
here. I believe that your ROI determines your ROI.
Okay. Explain that.
I'm gonna give it to you. And then inversely, I believe that your ROI determines your ROI. And what I mean by that is your radar of influence determines your return on your investment. Inversely, your return on your investment determines your radar of influence, right? And what I mean by that is when you take it upon yourself to invest the time, energy, and effort to do things to make you better, organically, you're going to be around great people. Organically, you're going to learn things that you never even thought that you would have learned, right? Organically, some great things are going to happen for you in your life that you would have never even planned and put out on your goals, because you just made the step to take the effort to put yourself around great people.
Right.
Right. And so when you allow yourself, when you're open and willing to do those things, man, watch out. Like really cool things will happen for you. And so the inverse side of that is us right here. Like being here, like the way we got here is because of relationships, because of us both stepping out and doing some things that we
Right.
never even thought
No.
that we could do, which which caused us to be together and are learning and growing together with each other in this amazing place. And so I just think that it's important to know that you have to take the step to invest. And I'm not talking just money wise.
Sure.
I'm just saying time, energy, effort into striving to be better. And when you do that, man, like you just continue to grow.
Do you think the reason that people don't do that more, and I say people, myself included,
Yeah.
right, is it our ego? Is it a fear of if we step out and ask for some help or ask just to be included in something that we know we're not an expert in, right? That's a scary proposition.
Very scary.
Do you think that that's inhibiting our growth because we're afraid if somebody rolls their eyes like, what
Yeah.
is that? I mean, talk about that a little bit. Like, what's your experience because you've had to make some steps and
Oh, yeah.
and like you said, we're not experts in anything. We're learning every day. And how do you get through that? How would you coach somebody to kind of like, hey, put that aside, put feeling of scared and ashamed or whatever it is, and take that step because you just don't know. How do you coach somebody through that?
I think the first piece is understanding that you have to have a growth mindset. Right? In order to grow, you have to have a growth mindset. I mean, it's a simple formula, like
Right.
easier said than done also. But I think the first thing is you have to know, like I think like as you were saying it, I was thinking about limits, right? And I think that if you limit yourself, you limit yourself. Let me give you that one again. If you limit yourself, you limit yourself. And what I mean by that is if you put limits on yourself, so like I talked to you about like where I'm from, like the books, like what if I'd have said, well, I don't know anybody that wrote books. Like I don't know anybody that ever did that or experienced those kind of things. Well, I'm not good enough to be able to do it because I don't know anybody that's done that. Well, I just limited myself.
Yep.
but what I choose to do is use all of that stuff as my motivation. Well, I don't know anybody that's done it. Well, maybe I can do it. Right.
Yeah,
And, and
100%.
and then like once I do it, then now somebody in my family sees that they can do it too. And then now they can do it. And by the way, that has happened like several times with some things.
Right.
And so when you learn to just take the limits off, and I'll go back to, like you said, that it's scary. Like either easier said than
Very
done,
scary.
but you have to be open and willing with the growth mindset to be vulnerable and learn and grow, because again, on the other side of that uncomfort, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Right? On the other side of that uncomfort, again, is your maximum growth.
Do you find that when you ask of somebody, right, even though you may not know them,
Right.
but they're a part of something that you're curious about, do you find, as long as you're curious and you approach it with, hey, I really would like just to learn from you, or learn about you, or learn how to do something that you're doing very well. I've always found that 99.9% of the time will open up the door to that
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
Because they're sharing from a place of like you're asking because you want to learn.
Yep.
Do you find the same thing with what you're doing?
Right. And it's organic for that person too.
Sure.
Like who better to share your story than you?
Right.
And so that's natural for you to just share your story. I don't have to think about that. Like, I know my story. I don't have to prepare for that. And so I think, and that's really the premise of like my podcast too. Right. I love stories. I love learning from stories. I love pulling the principles from stories. And it's just an organic combo. And when you can have that, that's when the magic happens.
So where to now? Right, your first day of
Yeah.
school. It was a hard day.
Yes.
But let's look beyond. Let's look towards the horizon.
Yeah.
What are you heading towards? What's down the road for Chip Baker?
Lots of greatness, I hope. No, my goal is to just, like I said, I think that I'm in the give back phase of my life. And so, everything that I'm about now is about building relationships, building quality relationships, and providing opportunities for others. I learned a long time ago in my life that it's not about me. I'm just going to say it like it is. It ain't about me. It's bigger than me. Right. And so I know that. And so I'm with everything I got in me, my goal is to give back the things that I've learned to others.
So if I'm an organization, I'm a school district, I'm a business,
Yes, sir.
and I want to say, hey, Chip, can you come help us? Can you?
Yeah.
Number one, how do they get in contact with you, and then what type of services do you offer for those groups?
Yeah. So all my social media is at Chip Baker TSC, except for Twitter, and that's Chip Baker 19, and I'm really responsive to myself. I'm the social media guy. Like you don't hit my social media and somebody else. No, it's me. Right? Like, who's the editor? No, it's me. Right? I'm lots of hats, but I'm responsive there, and really, I love leadership development, and so I've done that throughout my life. And I would like to say I'm pretty decent at it. Like, I love it. It's my passion.
Sure.
And like, I've done leadership groups, adults, on campuses, student athletes, your higher performing leaders and organizations. I've done some stuff with different organizations to develop leadership, help with communication. Of course, I speak, convocations, all types of events, whatever you need. But really, just to encourage people, just to show them that like they have what they need in them. They don't have to go search for anything else. Like your influence makes a huge impact. And a lot of times we just needed to be reminded of that.
Absolutely,
Yes.
100%. Particularly nowadays.
Yes, it's so needed.
And then the change is upon us. There is no doubt. All right, you want to have a couple of off the cuff, a couple of quick fire fun ones?
Sure.
Okay, as a public speaker, as a motivator, as a coach, can you think of the time that you were the most nervous to get out there and share the message? Is there one moment? Tell me about it.
Man. Every time I do it.
No, there's one that stands out.
No, I think early when I was doing it, man, it's crazy because like I'm a detail guy. And so I would detail and write it out and do word for word. And like, man, like I would, because truth be told, I'm an introverted guy.
Really?
Man, I am like outside of this, like, man, I am laid back. I probably wouldn't say 5 or 10 words. I'm checking out the scene. Like
Yeah.
I don't need all of that, you know.
Yes.
But early it really took work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to take work to be able to be out there. And so what I learned is like it don't have to be work, just be organically who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just try to serve the people. So I don't know if I can say there was one time, but I can just say early on when I first started doing it, man, I was a nervous wreck, man.
Really?
Yes.
So what, the night before, you sleeping or no?
Yeah, now I've never had a problem sleeping. Yeah, hey, I always have a food plan, and I never have a problem sleeping. That's two things you can bank on from Chip Baker, right?
I love it. I love it. Now, do you practice? Do you practice in the mirror? Do you make?
Uh,
Does the family? Do you sit the family down and make them?
Well, early I did that, and they was like, "Man, come on, man, what do you? Come on, like you're okay, you're all right." But then, like I said, in that process, I would practice. You know, go in the closet, you know, say it to myself, all of those kind of things. I'll share this, and this I think this is one thing that really helped me. I would like practice it in the closet and record the audio.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I would drive, like like 2-3 weeks out, as I would drive, I listened to myself delivering it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, man, that is not good.
How hard is that part?
Man, you keep saying and right and pauses and like but I was great with that process because I was used to that process as an athlete.
Yep.
Like, we're gonna watch the tape.
Film study.
Yeah, we're gonna check it out, see what we made mistakes on, see what we could be better on. And so that was one thing I think, and never really thought about it, that really helped me go to a better level, I think.
You hit on something that I've always been passionate about is if we would just coach teachers like we coached other things that, and that was just how we coached, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about the venue or the business sector.
Like the game, play the game.
Feedback, positive feedback,
Yep.
uplift. Let's get better. Let's skill. Each day is a new day to get a little bit better. I think we would be better served in a lot of respects on that.
For sure.
So you've interviewed a lot of people. Who's your big get that you would want to have on? And it can be anybody. I mean,
that I would want to have on.
Yes, that you would be like, man, I would almost be starstruck if I could have this person on.
I would go Coach Tony Dungy.
Really?
Man, I would love to sit down and interview him. I don't know if I would be starstruck as much as I would be like hounding him because I have so much to ask him.
Yes.
About his journey and how he's lived his life and the stories and man, I would love to be able to interview Coach Tony Dungy.
What about outside the sports realm? Is there anybody? Is there like somebody that's kind of a
E.T. Eric Thomas.
Really?
I would love to interview Dr. Eric Thomas. Met him a couple times. Of course, heard him speak in person several times, but I would love to sit down and chop it up with him too.
Very nice. Okay, last one off the cuff. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
I think for me, and some people like this, but for me, this just didn't resonate for me, right? And the advice was fake it till you make it, right? Now, like for me, everything I strive to do is genuine. Like I don't want to give anybody anything fake. Right. For me, like if I'm investing time, like I'm intentional about what I'm doing. I'm not wasting my time with anything else. And so I'm not faking anything. Like if I'm doing something, I'm all in 2 feet deep or I ain't doing it. And so I think for me, and like I said, like that resonates different with different people.
Sure.
Right. And no knock to anything, but just for me, that's not good advice for me because like my time is valuable and I ain't faking nothing.
So what gives you the ability to not have the reservations, because anytime you're starting something new, there's always that fear of, man, am I good enough? Is this, am I wise enough? Do I have what it takes? Is it preparation that makes you feel like, I'm gonna hit this, and I'm
Yeah.
100% prepared.
I think it's the preparation. I think it's the discipline to know that preparation works. I think it's the ability to also understand that I know that I don't know it all.
Sure.
Or never will I know it all. Right. And for me, that's the beauty of life. Like that's what makes it fun. Like, man, I'm excited about like learning. Like I love like learning new things.
Yep. No. And being able to say, man, I was wrong. I messed
Yeah,
that
I
up.
blew that.
Or
Like, give me some grace on that one.
I was joking with a politician friend was asking like, hey, what about coming on the show? I was like, yeah, I'd love to have you on the show. I'm going to ask you some tough questions. He goes, like what? I said, when's the last time you ever heard a politician say, you know what, I messed that up. That was a bad vote. Or hey, you know what, that bill on the other side of the aisle, that was a good idea by them. Like, I'm like, when's the last time you've ever heard that? He's like, oh man, you can't be throwing that. I was like, well, I mean,
That's what it is.
I'm curious about like what's really going on beside
Yes.
all the stuff that goes out there. So
It's good.
Produced by Podcast Architects.